Hello there, everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here on Judging Freedom. I'm smiling from ear to ear because my next guest is a very special guest who, for many years, was my mentor when we both were at CNBC covering the OJ trial. And then when he had a show on MSNBC called Internight, and I was his regular legal advisor on the show. And then when he married his beautiful wife, Susan, and I got to perform that wedding. And then when I was his sidekick on his 5 p.m. show at Fox News called The Big Story, it seems like a lifelong friendship, John. So many interactions. The one, the only John Gibson. John, welcome to my little podcast, Judging Freedom.
Well, I'm happy to be on here, and it's great to see you again, Judge. You neatly encapsulated it all, but I should put an exclamation point by the "you married us."
And I can tell you that when you perform the wedding of two friends, a bond is established. Even though I married a guy who since was convicted of murder, I don't have that bond, but I have the bond with everybody else. A lot of Fox friends, foremost among whom is my guest now. John and I worked together. You remember this, John, when you were on the ground in the courtroom in front of the courthouse reporter during the OJ trial. And I was the legal guy for the late, great Roger Ailes when he was the president of CNBC in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey. And I think it was probably the full 13 months of that trial, seeing each other through the monitor and never actually meeting in person until you moved east and had your show on MSNBC. And then, of course, we both ended up at
That's
Fox.
pretty much it. I did OJ wall to wall from arrest to acquittal, and the Rivera live shows. I did it every day, even when there wasn't much to do. But it was I'd never seen a story go on that long, and I wasn't gonna I wasn't gonna get off it for even one day for that whole year and a half. So
Many people have,
Judge, here
many
we
people
are.
say again.
I say, here we are, all those years
Yeah,
later.
many people agree with me when I say there isn't anybody in the media that knows more about the OJ case than John Gibson. And he has compiled that knowledge into a page turner called OJ's Knife. And it is, of course, a theory about what became of the knife, which is one of the great mysteries in the case. And the lead character is a guy named Mickey Judge, who's John's alias. It's really semi-autobiographical. This is a young, fabulous, good-looking, energetic, never say die reporter for NBC News in Los Angeles. Do I have all this right, Gibby?
Pretty much. Yeah, thank you very much. And thanks for, it's on Amazon. Go there and order it. OJ's Knife. It is fiction. So don't expect it to the real knife
I know
to
it's
turn out.
fiction. It's a page turner. I read it twice. My only complaint is that it's too short. I wish there were another 150 pages of keeping me up at night. John, it's a fabulous fabulous work to the modern era. What do you think the Republican Party stands for these days, John Gibson?
Well, I hope it stands for whatever was motivating the voters in San Francisco to turn out the super progressive school board by a vote of 70%. They just have gone too far on the other side, and the uprising in San Francisco, I think, tells us that these Democrats come the congressional elections in November are in huge, huge trouble. They've been talking themselves into believing that people don't care that they abuse their children or that they want to teach racism in schools or that they want to spend all their time changing names of schools and tearing down statues. And the voters in San Francisco said, we are sick of this. and once again, by an overwhelming landslide margin, 70% throughout those super progressives. Now, if I would think if you were AOC or Nancy Pelosi, you would say maybe something's going on out there that
Right.
we need to listen to, and I hope
Now
that's what the
you
Republican Party is for now.
you may not know this because it hasn't been posted yet, but our guest that we just finished with 5 minutes before you came on is a mutual friend of yours and mine, Larry Elder, who makes the same argument about San Francisco. And I'm going to guess that you will connect the same dots that he did. He connects the dots between the throwing out of the progressives in San Francisco and the throwing out of Terry McAuliffe in Virginia for largely the same reason, this belief that the education establishment, which consists of school board members and administrators and tenured teachers, should have a greater say about the lives of school children than the parents do. And the parents are just not putting up with it, putting up
Yeah, but
with that,
that's
whether they're Republicans or Democrats. That just defies nature.
yeah, and it's a microcosm. San Francisco is a microcosm of what I think is going on in the country. They are, after all, just run of the mill, everyday Democrats. These people in San Francisco got thrown out. This is what the Democratic Party stands for. It stands for critical race theory. It stands for authoritarianism on COVID. It stands for anything but what people really want. And so I would think that your super progressive uh, member of Congress is in as much trouble as we speak today as those school board members in San Francisco were. They're all the same thing. And the problem is, as is often said about Washington D.C., the the fish doesn't notice the water it swims in, but standing on the bank, looking in there, you notice the water and you see this. These people don't notice that the ideas they're promulgating are despised by their constituents. And I think they're going to pay a price for it. And of course, then we have to watch and see, Judge, and we've seen it many times, if the Republicans take the win, learn the lesson, do the right thing, or screw it up themselves. They're perfectly
Mm.
capable of the latter.
Will putting Donald Trump at the head of the ticket in 2024 be a lesson learned or a screw up, John Gibson?
You know, I just don't know what to say about it right at the moment.
I don't know
You
what to
know,
say either, John. I ask a lot of your friends and mine, Republicans and Democrats. Some of our Democrat friends, like our friend Ellis Hennigan, he says the Democrats are salivating to have Trump at the head of the ticket. They think he's so despised. A lot of Republicans will whisper to me off air, "Oh, please, God, Donald, don't run again." On the other hand, he draws the audiences. He still packs them in. I don't know either. Um, and
I
most people
think
don't
that
want to take a
there's,
strong stand.
yeah,
Go ahead, John.
I just think there's been a tremendous, look, it was a lot of fun those 4 years watching Trump just, poke the beehive every day, poke the hornet's nest. I just don't know if people have the energy for that anymore.
Yeah.
I think they like him. They like his policies. They think he's being unfairly persecuted, all of that. But do they really want, I mean, especially after 4 years of a fellow sleepwalking through the presidency, there's just this, even though there's a lot of policies people don't like and they want to change, there is an air of calm that we didn't have for a while. And
Right.
I just wonder if the fatigue factor about Donald Trump has reached the point where, yeah, it may not be the best thing if he runs again.
Is Joe Biden, in your view, handling the Ukraine crisis properly, or should he be listening to Lindsey Graham and send the 101st Airborne to defend Kyiv?
I don't want to see American troops in Ukraine. I mean, that's just my personal opinion, but Um, Look, I think, and this may be, what we would characterize as the wrong opinion. It's possible. I have them all the time, as you know, but I think NATO was needlessly provoking Putin, talking about bringing Ukraine into NATO. I think it was a mistake to bring the Baltic states in. It's just a terrible tripwire. And if Putin, for instance, were to move troops into the Baltic states, which is essentially like you walking across the street, it's that close. Um, it would supposedly trip Article 5. And
Yeah.
if member states didn't join in on Article 5 and going to defend NATO states, it would ruin NATO. And maybe that's ultimately his game, is to break up NATO by using NATO's own arrogance against it. So I just think, look, I think that whatever's being done by whoever is doing it that would prevent an invasion, if that's how it works out, that's a good thing. Going confronting Russia with troops, I think is a really dangerous mistake.
Now, John, time has passed since we last sat next to each other in Studio B
Yeah.
on 6th Avenue and 48th Street at 5 o'clock every day. And I don't know if you've
Mhm.
changed or I've changed, but I agree with every word that just came out of your mouth about Putin, about NATO, about Russia and Ukraine. Now, tell me I'm wrong. 10 years ago, you would have said blow them away.
I might have, but I've always been. It's one thing to say, "Well, I'm gonna go step on Saddam Hussein like he's a bug," because he is a bug. And I thought the invasion was the right thing to do. I think the occupation turned out to be a disaster, and a lot of bad stuff went on. Uh, but I've always been real hesitant to say, "Wait a minute, if we're gonna go to war with Russia, let it be a proxy war. We don't want it to be us,
Right, right.
at war with Russia."
John, how's Susan? She's well?
She is well. We sold the big ranch and bought a little ranch, and she's busy trying to make this place into a homey little place for a retired old gent like me.
God love you, John. Thank you for coming on. We'll do it again. Tell Susan I love her. All
Well,
my
thank
best.
you very much. It was great to see you.
Thank you. Judge Napolitano for Judging Freedom.